Welcome aboard, it's Captain G. This is Newblood, 17.7, July 1944, Italy. Before we begin, just a couple minor housekeeping points. On the Japanese turn, the Japanese did 3 militia upgrades. There's a cap of 2 maximum. So we had replaced the Sumatra infantry upgrade that's been canceled. The 2 IPP went back to the Japanese cash on hand for next turn, and they only built the 1 militia on that island. And Vichy France, not necessarily housekeeping, but point of clarification. Once the Allies declared war on them, the British with the attack, they have now aligned with Germany. Hence you'll notice the German markers. We didn't replace the Vichy units with Vichy French units. We just put them under German controls. But the IPP goes to Germany now. So Germany is at 57 IPP, and the separate Vichy tracker went away. And then the final thing, going back to the Soviet turn, once they attacked Sweden, the Swedish Navy, this wasn't announced and clearly in the video because there are no surviving Swedish ground forces. The Swedish Navy aligns with Germany. So those 2 coastal defense ships, the torpedo boat destroyer and the coastal submarine, now side with Germany as anti-communist naval forces. All right, so technology. With 1 factory, Italy is going to roll for long-range air at an 8 or higher. 1. So no surprise. Production. Committed to being an anti-communist, King Victor Emmanuel is sending more forces to nationalist Spain. So a tactical bomber, which now that this British fleet are blocking this port, with Vichy's alignment, the Lend-Lease can just rail right over into Basque country. All right. We're also building a coastal artillery in Gibraltar, and we're building 2 Marines and 2 infantry. That's a total of 11 and 5 is 16, and 8 and 6 is 14, 14 and 16 is 30. So that's all 30 IPP cash on hand for the Italians, remainder 0. I'll move this out of the way. Bring it back later. Combat. We do have a couple combats this turn. Down all the way off the tip of South Africa in Sea Zone A54. The seaplane's going out on map. There's the little marker for the 3 seconds it's out there. And we're going to raid those 2 convoy lines, a maximum of a 1/3 at an even die roll. And then in the Indian theater, the Italian strategic bomber will move 1, 2, and try again to do some strategic bombing on the British up in the Kashmir Mountains. So that completes the combat for this turn for Italy. And let's go ahead and roll for the seaplane raid. It's an even. It'll be the green Italian dice. Oh, you got them already? Okay. Against the red and blue British dice. Straight up. None. Sadly, none. All right. So now we're rolling 3 dice for the strategic bomber, carpet bombing Kashmir.
8, 7, 11.
None. Okay. So ineffective in both combat attacks. Non-combat. All right, let's go ahead and land the strategic bomber. It moved 2 to the Kashmir Mountains. We'll go 3, 4, 5, and then 6 out of its 7 because it started in an airbase. And it is going to land in Syria. The tactical bomber that is in Syria is going to move in response to the new threat to the Med. 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the airbase at Sardinia. Also in Syria, we have 2 mountain infantry. We're moving into southern Iraq with the regular artillery, the 2 infantry, and the medium armor. Because of the desert, they're all moving 1 territory. Out of Sudan, we're now at the end of the British-built rail system. This artillery is going to jump on that rail system and leverage it and the Italian bridge to go to southern Iraq. This southern Iran. Thank you, Egg. This air transport in Sudan is going to pick up 1 infantry, fly over the Sahara Desert. 1, 2, 3 into Tunisia to drop this infantry off in Tunisia. And then 4, 5, 6 land in northern Italy. The heavy cruiser off the coast of northern Italy will join the Regina Marina, join that Italian task force. So there's 2 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser now, 3 light cruisers, 1 destroyer, 1 light carrier, and 1 fighter in this sea zone. And just as a reminder, one reason that we did not do all the coastal attacks here is because aircraft on a carrier are automatically on MAP, Maritime Air Patrol or Combat Air Patrol. So enemy fighters cannot go into that space unless they want to do battle. So our aircraft in this sea zone is also on MAP and prevents any aircraft from flying into this sea zone, just like the British does for us here. Just wanted to call that out for anyone because they're not readily apparent on the map. Speaking of aircraft, unable to fly to Gibraltar because of the British map that we just discussed. This fighter is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in Aquitaine. The infantry in Sudan will move to Nubia. The motorized infantry move through Sudan, which is not desert, into Nubia, which is, and the colonial infantry will move into Sudan. The seaplane will come off map and land in Cape Town, I think. Mm-hmm. The 1 transport in M8 will move to M7, embark the infantry and the artillery, and then transport them to M4 and then M2 and drop them off in Tunisia to join that infantry that was flown in. And the transport will join the fleet. The other 2 empty transports will go 1, 2, 3 into M3 and go into this port in northern Italy. The Marine in northern Italy will move down to Rome. The fighter in northern Italy will fly 1, 2, 3 and take up station at Tunisia. The 2 Marines in Paris will move into southern France with their new Vichy allies. And I'm just going through my checklist to make sure I hit everything. This infantry and artillery in northern Italy will use 2 of the European theater rails.
No, we just leave them.
Oh, you leave them? All right. They're going to stay in northern Italy. Belay that. They're not going to Greece. We did Nubia. And we did that. So I think I got everything we talked about. We're in response to the British aggression in North Africa.
Moving these guys?
Oh. Yep. That's the M and T. All right. With the strategic bomber relocation, the Medium bomber is moving 1, 2, 3 to Syria. And the tactical bomber is moving 1, 2, 3 to Syria as well. Okay. Did the land forces. I think that's it for Italy.
Do we want to move the infantry and artillery into Rome?
You want to put them in Rome?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. So we're going to move this infantry and artillery from northern Italy into Rome, because we don't know what the British and the Americans have planned, but I'm sure it's no good. All right. So with that completing the combat and non-combat movements, let's move on to place units. As we discussed, from this factory, we're building this unit. We're going to rail it right through France into Basque country and turn it over to Franco, who's thrilled that the Italians have not forgotten him. We're going to produce this coastal artillery, new and improved, right next to the other one, pointed at the British fleet. We're going to build 2 infantry and 2 marines at the factory in northern Italy, maxing out its 5 units because the Lend-Lease unit counts towards that 5. We move on to collect income, no change in IPP. So the 30 IPP that we spent, we get back for next turn. So that completes what hopefully is not our final Italian turn. We'll find out next when Lancer Bolt does the KMT and the US turn, and then at the end of that turn, he will roll for end of game a 1, 2, or 3, win the game. Otherwise, we will see you back on turn 18 for Germany. For Eggman, it's Captain G, over and out.